We are continuing now on to the fourth tab of the worksheet, the one that says net income. All right, so net income is, remember we said it's going to be sales minus variable costs equals contribution margin minus fixed costs equals net income. All right, so here we have a situation where for product A, our sales price is 100, and we know that from previous sheets, okay? But now it's telling us we're selling 1,200 units. So our total sales are going to be $100 per unit times 1,200 units. So that's going to be $120,000. Now I need to calculate my variable costs. Well, I know from a previous sheet that my variable cost per unit is 20 times the 1,200 units that we sold is going to be 24,000. My contribution margin is going to be my sales minus variable costs, 96,000. My fixed cost, it tells me right down here, is 80,000. And my net income is going to be my contribution margin minus fixed costs. So I have pre-tax income of $16,000, or we can just call it net income. All right, sound good? You want to see one more? Of course you do. We got product B left to do. All right. So product B, our sales dollars is going to be our sales price per unit of $5 times the number of units we sold, which is 22,000. 110,000 is our sales. Our variable costs is going to be the 22,000 units we sold times our variable cost per unit, which I have right here. Okay, that didn't work out. That's okay, we get to do it again. It's going to be our, somehow this got messed up. Right, let's see if we can undo. All right, edit, undo, edit, undo. There we go. All right, so our variable costs are going to be our number of units times our variable cost per unit, which we said was $1.50 for product B. Remember, we're using the same product A and product B. So our variable costs are going to be 33,000. So our sales minus variable costs give us a contribution margin of 77,000. Our fixed costs, we said, are 70,000. So our pre-tax income will be our contribution margin of 77,000 minus our fixed cost of 70,000 for a pre-tax net income of 7,000. Okay, pretty simple. Now, what if we're preparing a forecast for next year and we know how much income we want to have, how much net income we want to have, right? Because a lot of times that happens. We're like, hey, you know, I want to be able to make $20,000 profit. So we do this the exact same way we calculate break even. Remember, break even was fixed cost divided. We're doing dollars here first. So break even dollars was fixed cost divided by contribution margin percentage. So here we just change the numerator. Excuse me, and instead of just being fixed cost, then it's instead fixed cost plus the target income, right? Because once we cover our fixed costs, all of the contribution margin after that is all profit, okay? So our CM ratio, so we will just copy that from over here because we already calculated that. So I am asking you to go back to previous worksheets and find some numbers that you've already calculated. All right, so our target sales dollars to make a profit of 20,000 is going to be plus fixed costs plus the profit we want, so 80,000 plus 20,000, and that whole thing divided by our contribution margin ratio of 80%. So we need to have sales dollars of $125,000 in order to make a profit of $20,000. Okay? Moving on to product B, same thing. If I want to know, it's selling product B, how much I have to sell in dollars to get a profit of $10,000, I just take my fixed costs plus the profit I want. Remember, once I get to break even, all of the contribution margin I make after that is profit. I'm going to take my $70,000 of fixed costs plus my target income of $10,000, and that whole thing I'm going to divide by product B's contribution margin ratio, which is 70%. And that tells me if I want to make $10,000 profit on product B, I need to sell $114,286. All right, that's if I'm forecasting in dollars. If I'm forecasting in units, same thing, except instead of dividing by contribution margin percentage, I'm going to divide by contribution margin. Okay, because remember, back on break even, my break even units was fixed cost divided by contribution margin. Now I'm just going to add the profit I want to make. So if I want to make $20,000, I'm going to take my fixed costs, which I have to cover first before I get to make profit, of $80,000 plus my target income of $20,000. I want to walk away with $20,000 profit on product A, and I divide that whole thing by my contribution margin, which is, oh, look at this. I put the wrong thing in here. First, I need to put in my contribution margin, which we said was over here, $80 for product A. And for product B, our contribution margin was $350. Okay, now we go back. So my target sales units is going to be, I'm going to add up my fixed costs of $80,000 plus my desired profit of, or target income of $20,000, and divide that whole thing by my contribution margin per unit of 80. And that means I have to sell 1,250 units in order to make a profit of $20,000. It's good to know how to do this both ways, because sometimes your sales forecast is going to be in dollars, sometimes it's going to be in units, right? Sometimes it's easier to go to a salesperson and say, I need you to sell $1,250 or units of product. Sometimes it's easier to tell them, I need you to sell $125,000 of worth of product. All right, let's do that again. So to get our target sales units for product B, if we want to make a profit or target income of 10,000, is going to be our break-even or fixed cost of 70,000 plus our target income of 10,000, and I'm going to divide that whole thing by our contribution margin per unit. And in order to, seems like. All right, well, that one didn't come out even, which is strange, but that's okay. I don't think this is right. Let me do this again. Nope, it came out. Okay, so this one didn't come out even. Bad worksheet design. That's okay. So in order, this is actually good. So in order to make my $10,000 of profit, I need to sell 22,858 units. And you're like, what? No, why are you rounding up? That's crazy. Here's the thing, I can't sell part of a unit, right? Nobody wants to sell like part of a sneaker. Like, hey, I cut off the back half, you just get the front half of the sneaker, right? That doesn't make any sense. So in order to make my profit, I have to sell this rounded up, because if I round it down, I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss my 10,000. I'm going to end up making profit of like $9,995 or something, right? And that's not what I want. I want 10,000 or more. More is always okay. So I would round this up to, if you said how many units do I have to sell, I would round this up and I would say 22,858. Make sense? All right. I'm glad we had a poorly designed spreadsheet so I can show that to you. All right, so in the next video, we're going to talk about operating leverage, and I will see you there.